Hello, good morning and welcome to another episode of WhiteDetails. Here's something I've not done before. Detailing in 4K. So there have been a few comments about changing the resolution for the videos and the YouTube content to 4K from 1080p, and the camera, the Lumix GH5, accommodates 4K resolution. So be sure to switch over to 4K setting for the clearest, most quality picture crisp setting possible. And this is an Audi R8, it's here for the full week. There's various treatments to deliver to the car, starting with little Ppf removal, paint correction, coatings, wheel coatings, interior, engine bay. That and a whole lot more coming up on this episode of WhiteDetails. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get started with the polishing and the paint correction stages, there's two things to note. First of all, apologies, I'm bunged up, I've got a cold, I've got man flu, so I'm nasally and I'm struggling for breath. But also the start of this job for me, it's a bit different for the episode as well. The car arrived with a good amount of paint protection film, Ppf, existing Ppf that's been there for 8 or 9 years. It was already on the car. I wasn't so much aware of this when it was booked in for sort of a 2 or 3 stage paint correction and polish, and obviously there's limitations as to what you can do when it comes to polishing the film, but our options at this point are to work around the film, to work with the film, to polish it, to improve it and enhance it as best possible, or to simply remove it and to do a paint correction properly underneath, and then think about a ceramic paint protection option or the application of fresh Ppf at a later date. By lunchtime, by the time the car's on the ramp, the wheels are outside, I had received a message from the owner who had decided to go ahead, remove the Ppf. In areas you can see on the film there are some wounds, some battle scars, some impact areas where I guess the film has served its purpose, or at least we'll see when the film comes off later. I was also somewhat caught off guard. I didn't have my steamer to hand for this week. So I'm utilizing the heat from the infrared curing panels to soften the Ppf to work around the adhesive to remove it in as safe a fashion as possible. Now, although the car wasn't exactly new when the Ppf went on, it was still a good few years old at this point, but the Ppf went on 8 or 9 years ago. I was somewhat expecting the underneath paintwork to be relatively defect free, but as you can see on the off side of the vehicle, the side skirt, the lower door panel, the rear quarter, there's abrasions, hazing, swirls, so the Ppf has been thrown on top. But of course Ppf is ever so forgiving, so although the underlying base paint was scratched and swirly, Ppf over the top does somewhat disguise and mask the defects hidden beneath. So my job going forward, I need to get the paint as nice as possible in the timescales, and then get the protection, the interior, the engine bay, the wheels, calipers, all the accessory items dressed and protected as appropriate. So making a start with the paint correction process, the Audi is booked for a 2-stage paint correction, aiming to deliver 70 to 80% defect removal. As you can see on the wing, very much improved the paint condition compared to the upper surface where the swirls and the scratches are. It has managed to take out some deeper marks, however the finish is yet to be refined, so it's hazy. There is micro marring and damage that's left behind from my own process, from my own cutting phase. But at least with using the 5-inch and the 3-inch in this instance, we can ensure the correction and the polishing is tight to the very edges. As usual, you will see a mix of pads and machines being used to safely and efficiently correct the intricate spots, the tight areas, the concave sections, and also the big open flat areas, not just relying on one machine to do the whole car. Before we get in too deep with the paint correction, I do at this stage, for my own peace of mind, like to perform a test refining section. So a finishing pad and a finishing polish, in this instance Cartec 9000, was used with a 50-50 sort of style section, so I can clearly see the refining process taking place once it's buffed away. So when the entire vehicle is cut, this refining set will happen over the entire car, and as you can clearly see, the difference is quite mega. Up on the roof then, I'm splitting this half of the roof into thirds, so 5 inch, 5 inch, 5 inch, 1, 2, 3. But now of course I need to run the perimeter. Run the perimeter with the 3 inch backing side to get into areas like this. The 5 inch doesn't obviously sit over there too comfortably without overlapping too much onto the pillar. The glass, it's not an issue on the glass to be honest, but it's more this edge I'm concerned about. So 3 inch, 3 inch, buff it off, dust this area, 5 inch, 5 inch, 3 inch, dust it, buff it, move on to the wing, and then up and over the top. The PPF section that was on the bonnet here only came sort of halfway up. We're talking about 8 or 9 years ago, so technology with PPF has advanced a lot more and you get the full coverage quite easily, I would imagine. So the top portions are understandably a little bit more, there's more love marks, there's more swirling and haze compared to the lower sections, but there are still holograms, rotary buffing marks where some work has been done. This bonnet has been painted under warranty. It had some corrosion down here, so it was a replacement bonnet which had been painted. But after a quick cut on the top right section now, we've got a nice easy before and after. Before, after, and this is still before refining. The bonnet is pretty huge. What I've done there is from there up 5 inch, 5 inch, so that's 2 different sets. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 5 inches here into thirds. All this is going to be 3 inch stuff. Hybrid needs to come out to tackle this very top channel. What I did spot a couple of days ago were sander marks in the lowest corner here. Unfinished sander marks there. And then underneath this tape, but just using the sealing spotlight on this end section, you can see holograms, buffer trails, which then turn to unfinished pigtails and sander marks. So with the bonnet complete, it is then offside wing mirror, side skirts, rear bumper, front bumper. I think we're going to be leaving the PPF on that. I haven't yet inspected it fully up properly, and then we can think about some refining before protection. That is now the cutting complete, apart from 3 areas. Number 1, the 1 inch strip at the back of the roof here that runs with a bit of light. You can see swirling, haze, needs correcting, as well as the third brake light itself. So that's number 1. Number 2 is down the wing there, similar story, 1 inch. Number 3, 1 inch. An interesting one to reach. It's always pretty difficult to lean across there, but the 1 inch nano polisher will finish it off nicely, get the rest of it all blown down and wiped, and we can tackle the bay. With the polishing and the paint refining now complete and out of the way, we turn our attention to the interior. The car as a whole is a well cared for, nice example, and the interior could be a lot worse, don't get me wrong, but there's certainly room for improvement. It's a full deep clean leather protection and fabric protection. The number one tool for me on this job, the airline, the ability to flush the cracks and crevices from the leather, get all the crumbs, the hairs, all of the dirt, not so much removed but relocated to an area where it's safer to use the vacuum to hoover it up, to flush it, to clean it, to wipe it, to later protect it. Before we can apply Modesta's LPS, which is the leather protection system, we need to ensure the leather is clean and free of dirt and oils and grease. For that, quite a mild mixture of Koshkemi Polestar is used, which is a textile Alcantara leather interior cleaner, alongside a couple of soft bristled brushes. Using a damp and warm microfiber to wipe away the residues as you go. And also the airline comes out to play again. The airline can flush out the residue, the soap, the solution from the seams of the leather and the cracks of the bolsters. And then rinsing the towel out to release the residues, and you can see the colour of the water. That's just from the one seat. Once dry, here you can see the leather is looking supple, it's looking matte, it's looking factory fresh, but there still might be some residues from the cleaning agent left behind. So a damp towel once again just gives a wipe over, a wet wipe to hydrate and to release the remaining residues before we can apply the protection. The same applies for the leather steering wheel, and then once the surfaces, the dashboard, the console, plastics were all cleaned in a similar fashion, this is the colour of the rinse water, which just leaves the overmats, the pedal box and the carpets to tackle a bit later on.
So the cutting and refining have been completed. The refining was finished this morning. I've made a head start and a bit of a tickle on the interior. But before the tape comes off the car now, we're going to go around with Modesta's primer. We need to do this before the coatings go down in the morning. And I've just done 2 dozen touch-ups on the lower portions and the edges of the arches, etc. This is treated more of a glaze on a very, very soft finishing pad, as opposed to a polish itself. You can work it, you can bring it to temperature if you wanted to, but also the fact I've done traditionally the cutting and refining with other compounds and polishes, this is now just there for a base for BC04 tomorrow. And you can pretty much fly around the car with this process, so 3:30, 4:30, will be finished by 5:30, 2 hours, hopefully, to do so. Super sharp. It's going to be a nice example of this, all said and done. The seat's looking much more matte, very clean, yet to be protected with LPS, Modesta. And the same for the wheel. The wheel's looking clean and smart, matte, factory fresh. Modesta BC04 has been applied now. Infrared clearing process has started. The rims have been coated BC06. Final finishing jobs really. Oops. Got to treat the leather. Got to do the glass. Got to do the door shutters. Got to do the registration plate. Obviously, don't want to show you the digits in full, but it's pretty hammered. There's a lot of improvement here on the gloss, the clarity. I know it's only a registration plate, but when that's stuck back in the back end, it's going to let things down. So. Detailing in 4K. Audi R8 complete. Yeah. I have to say, I felt grotty for the last couple of days. I'm really bummed up. with a sore throat. So, apologies if the vibe was down on the video and the camera, but let me know your thoughts. Has this episode been an improvement on the last in terms of the visuals, the quality, the 4K resolution? I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed to be, I guess. One thing I do know is if this is going to continue, it's going to cost me a fortune. My laptop, as good as it is, as good as it was when I first invested in it back when I started in 2017 with the videos, I threw in Monday and Tuesday's footage of the Audi on Tuesday night and things were slow. It really does struggle to render, it struggles to process, just 4K file sizes like this. New desktop machine is on the cards, possibly. So the car's been picked up in the morning. First thing tomorrow, which is Saturday, I have a little Yaris GR for next week, a new car prep, which is here already. And the R8, it's been a 2 to 3 stage paint correction, the Ppf Removal, Modesta BC04 coating in its place. Obviously a coating isn't going to stand up to road rash and impact, much like what the Ppf was there for in the first place, but the owner has changed direction. The film was old, it wanted to come off, and the paint underneath, as you saw, was pretty rough. Swirled up and hazy anyway. Interior care, leather protection, the wheel coatings with Modesta BC06, which is what the sprayable coating you saw me doing on the wheels was earlier on. There's often people comment, what's the sprayable solution on the wheels and calipers? BC06. Only available for the Modesta network, by the way. And then I guess that's about your lot. So thank you for your time, thank you for sitting through, thank you to the WhiteDetails patrons and the community that follow. Be sure to give the video a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're not already, find WhiteDetails over on Instagram, and until next time, take care and bye. Bye for now.
I've never seen my car look like that. That is just, it is amazing. To see it in the flesh.
Very nice.
Are you happy? Are you happy?
I am, yeah, very.
Yeah. I mean, you go over it in such detail and look at every square inch of the car, so you know it more than me now.
Yeah, yeah. Did you say you've had it from new?
Yeah, well, a month old actually.